Emotionally, I suffered a lot of abuse. That had been in prison for many years, a very tough prison. My mother was not able to take care of me, and I just was not happy at all with myself. It was a very difficult time. Physical abuse, emotional abuse, adultery, fornication, homosexuality. I came to the end of myself. My name is Arthur, and this is my story. I start with my mother because she was 15 years old when she gave birth to me. The man that impregnated her, which was my biological father, he was in the military here in San Antonio. They met, my grandmother and my biological father, because my grandmother wanted to talk to him and find out who was going to help her with the costs of having this baby. And so he basically told my grandmother that he did not love my mother, he was not going to marry her, and he could not be sure that he was the father. My mother now is a 15-year-old young girl growing up in a low-income family, living in some apartment here in San Antonio, close to downtown. There was a couple that was living in one of those apartments as well. And my mother gave me to this couple because she just could not take care of me. One day my mother goes home, to see her mother, and told her that she had given me to this couple. My grandfather told my grandmother, well, you need to go find them, you need to go get them back. So she did. My grandmother went and spoke to the couple. My understanding is they did not want to give me up. I don't know if it was before a judge or a justice of the peace, but the couple was told they had to return me to my mother's family, probably because my mother was too young to make that kind of decision for herself. So anyway, I went to live with my grandparents those first few years of my life, and it was a very peaceful home. My grandfather was a hard-working man. He was from Mexico originally. My grandmother was born here in Texas, in Brownsville. By this time, my mother was working at an ice house. A man would go there, and this man, he was interested in getting to know my mother better, and my mother let him know, I do have a boy, a son, that lives with my parents, and they got married that year when I was still 5. And so I went to live with my mother and now my stepfather. My stepfather had been in prison, and I'm sure my mother knew about this already. I'm sure he had told her about it. But, she cared about him for whatever reason. Just to give you an idea, they were married, 27 years, I believe. And she had with him my sister and my 2 brothers. I'm the oldest. Shortly after they were married, he became very abusive. And of course, my mother suffered physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse for many, many years. So sure enough, my mother did leave him finally. Well, I'm 15 years old, and I guess she used to go across the street to a small restaurant there on downtown on St. Mary's. It's a street. And I started working there at the age of 15. And right next to the restaurant, there's a bar. On the other side of the restaurant, there's a gay bar where they did drag shows and all that kind of stuff. And instead of going home, Friday night and Saturday night, I fell into what you call sin, immorality, adultery, fornication, homosexuality, just different types of sin. So I turned 18, I lose my job, and I need a job, and so I'm reading the newspaper, and I see this ad that says, do you want to travel? Do you want to meet people? Do you want to have fun? Go to this interview. Well, it's a dance studio where they teach social dancing, ballroom dancing. So I started working for this dance studio. Now I get into smoking pot because everybody was smoking pot in 1975. And I thought, well, hey, I liked it. It was, I was meeting people and dancing away till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And so anyway, at a disco club, I meet this young lady. She was very attractive. We started dancing and we just had a lot of fun. We started dating, and then 3 months later we were getting married. I'm working at the studio at the age of 19, 20, 21, and I'm very unhappy with myself. I'm at a place where I just feel an emptiness in my life, and I tried the drugs, the pot, and the intimacy that we had wasn't enough anymore. I became a person that was just very empty and void inside of my life. And I just was not happy at all with myself. I remember it was a Sunday morning, late morning. I went to a bar that I had a friend, and he sold pot. So I went over there, bought some pot from him. I left the bar. I smoked a joint. I'm headed back home to my wife, and I call her and I tell her, hey, you want to go to a movie? She said, sure, yeah. So I go by the house, I pick her up, and we're driving down the street to the movie theater. Again, this was the late 70s. I'm rolling the joint, and then my wife says, oh, you dropped it, or it spilled over. And as I turned my head, I somehow steered the car to the right side of the road, and someone obviously was very close behind me, because when I looked up, I saw that I was headed towards a pole, and I tried to miss it. I tried to, steer back, but whoever was behind me rammed my car. I mean, the front of the car and the back of the car were just smashed in from both ends. The front, of course, because of the pole, the back because of that other car. And now she's injured, I'm injured, we don't have a car. So things got even tougher for us financially. And I just felt like I need something. I need to change my life. And I didn't know what, because I didn't come from a Christian home. I didn't grow up in a Christian environment. Nobody told me, give your heart to Yeshua. Nobody told me Yeshua can fill your heart. I never heard those words from anyone. I didn't know what it was to be born again or anything. A friend, he went by the house one day. He invited us to church, me and my wife, and we started going to this little church. That Sunday, that same day, we both made a profession of faith. That night, we both got baptized. It was something different from what I knew. And I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking pot, I stopped the drugs, I stopped all the other stuff that I was doing. I remember we'd sit in a Bible study class, and they would just study the Bible, the Word of God, for an hour, 2 hours. I see this joy that they have for the Bible, and then they sang together, and they could do this for hours, and they wouldn't get exhausted or bored or it's time to stop. They just wanted to keep going and going and going. And I thought, what do they have that I don't have, I remember just getting on my knees. I went to my bedroom, I got on my knees. I said, Yeshua, who you are. And right there in that room, I remember feeling his presence. And I remember seeing him on the cross, suffering for my sins. I saw him on that cross, dying for my sins. And at that moment, I knew that all my sins had been forgiven. And I can tell you this right now, I'm 66 years old now, and I've been a believer for over 40 years. And I can tell you, even through all the different experiences I've had in these over 40 years as a believer, as a Christian, that I can still feel his presence in my life every day, every day. Now that I know Yeshua, I can say, because of the freedom that he has given to me in my soul, in my spirit, and in my mind, I can express myself totally, freely, dancing to God the Father. I have no fear when I come to God. I have no anxiety when I come to God. I have no guilt when I come to God, because I am free in Yeshua, and because he took upon himself all of my sins. And I can tell you right now that Yeshua is real. He is real. He is God. He is God. And all you have to do is open your heart to Him and just say, Yeshua, who are you? I want to know you. I give you my heart. And He will come to you. Come unto me, all ye that are laden and heavy burdened, and I shall give you rest, and you shall find joy in your hearts. Will you do that today? God bless you.